What is a disturbing fact you wish you could unlearn? Manatees have vaginas that are the most anatomically similar to humans. Manatees may also be the inspiration for myths about mermaids, beautiful half-fish women that lured sailors to their deaths. Connecting those dots have been mentally scarring. Surgeons used to operate on infants without anesthesia, including open-heart surgery. They have stopped this, however, in the 1980s. Often people that fracture their tibia, big shin bone, but not their fibula, thin shin bone, think they're okay to stand up, and when they put weight through that leg then the fibula breaks too. Apparently, Japan bombed China with fleas infected with bubonic plague during World War II. Big rain. I think that a dolphin committed suicide after falling in love with its handler that used to jerk the dolphin off. I was a lot happier before I knew that tonsil stones were a thing. It takes 3 full rotations to remove the human head because of the skin's elasticity. Jeffrey Dahmer drilled a hole into some victims' skulls and tried pouring different toxic liquids into the hole. He was trying to make a sex slave that could eat and drink but could in no way fight back or escape. The worst fact is that victims might survive the first hole with all brain function intact and live long enough to be fully aware they were going to get a second or third hole drilled. My mom told me I have my grandma's nipples. Why am I willingly learning all the facts that people wish to unlearn? There are corpses on Mount Everest which are used as waypoints. Hey look, there is no limbs, Derek. I guess we're going the right way. There is a chance you might fall in a sleep paralysis-like state when under anesthesia, meaning you'll feel your surgery while being unable to move. I feel bad for Diavolo now. Any details about the toy box killer's ways of torturing his victims? The guy was a serial rapist, just leave it at that. Pretty much anything about prions. There is a phenomenon known as stone baby where a fetus dies and doesn't get absorbed by the body, so it calcifies inside the mother's abdomen. People have been known to carry around these mummified fetuses for 40 years, totally unaware. A Queen of Scotland, if my memory's good, was sentenced to death by beheading. Bear in mind that a beheading was always seen as a quick death. One chop and that's done. She got up to the chopping block and made her prayers. The executioner took 3 swings to properly behead her. I recall reading how she screamed in terror and pain before the second hit cut her voice. I forgot the details of much, but executioners were not flawless in their handling of sentences. There was a time in England where you could feed your pet to the lions in a zoo to avoid paying. My biology teacher had a QA session before Christmas and one student asked if it's possible to be allergic to your own blood. Unfortunately you can. Just imagine your own immune system destroying your red blood cells, constant hemorrhaging, constantly feeling cold and out of breath. When we got back from winter break we saw a new face in class, a former student of my bio teacher who just so happened to have this disease, and we spent the whole class asking questions. I feel so bad for the guy, but thankfully the medicine available to suppress the immune system has made his life bearable. There is a type of insomnia that will kill you. Life expectancy is around a year after onset. FFI, fatal familial insomnia. Guy who I worked with when I was 15 turned out to be a convicted child molester. He never touched me, but he was definitely really uncomfortably friendly around me. Parrots often bond with a keeper, from their perspective, as a lifelong romantic partner. If the person dies, or the parrot is displaced, they can go into massive depression and pluck out their own feathers. Every time you walk into a stinky public bathroom, you are inhaling tiny bits of strange people's shit right in your mouth. Parmesan cheese and vomit contain butyric acid, and it is responsible for the most distinct aspects of their smells. The murder of Junko Furuta. I read true crime stories every now and then, but this is by far the most gut-wrenching story I've ever heard. There's a wiki page for those curious enough, but I heavily suggest not to if you want to maintain your faith in humanity. The only part of your reflection that you can lick is your tongue. The South Korean government murdered 200,000 girls, boys, adults, and families with zero basis or even a trial. The Bodo League massacre, and they continue to cover it up today and hope the world doesn't find out. The sound a human makes hitting a concrete floor head first from about 12 feet up. Also the visual. Dolphins like raping shit for fun. Wish I could unlearn that since I used to like swimming with them. This is explicitly a post full of things people wish they never learned, and I and thousands of other people clicked anyway. We hella dumb. Joseph Fritzl, the man who imprisoned his daughter in an underground cellar for 24 years and raped her approximately 3,000 times. There is traces of plastic now being found in umbilical cords. Male ducks are rapists, sometimes to the point where they will literally gang rape females to death. Without mucus, your stomach would digest itself. Also Junko Furuta. When someone has their head cut off, The screaming when they sever the throat sounds just like pigs. I unfortunately saw a video released by a terrorist organization many years ago and it still haunts me. My roommate said, the feeling, sound, and visuals of a dog skinned degloving from its body after being lost for a week and found in a pond. She's a vet tech. She's learned some shit. Only about 50% of the cells in your body are you. The rest are microbes that exist as part of your microbiome. A man named Peleol slit his wrists and then shot himself in the head, and a photo of his dead body was used as album art. Can't ever know what the people around you are capable of. Starfish can get infected and rip themselves apart. Torture exists in this reality, and that the human body can survive well past many tortures until the end. The fact that dogs like squeaky toys because it sounds like their prey crying out in pain. There are people out there smart enough to understand Rocco's basilisk and yet dumb enough to be concerned about it. Learn this in Intro to Psychology. Men's lips are the same color as the head of their penis. Edit. I did some research, and from users' personal experiences on here, and this isn't always the case. It's true for some men, but not all. And some factors that have to do with the body's chemistry and change the color. I just remember hearing this in class and being so weirded out that it stuck with me. Nazis used to experiment on Jewish children via sterilizing, altering eye color and even sewing them together. Talk about human centipede Earl. There's such a thing as 4th, 5th, and 6th degree burns. 4th degree means all the layers of skin at the burn site are gone. 5th degree means the muscle under the skin is damaged. 6th degree is literally down to the bone. Yeah, I was a lot happier thinking 3rd degree was the worst. Fetal abductions aka cesarean kidnapping. He learned about this as my wife was bedridden in the hospital carrying our first. Really struck a nerve. In Japan, when you have surgery, the doctor shows you what they removed and explain about it. It was a bit shocking to see. What? They don't do that in your home country? No sir, they do not. Chainsaws were originally meant for childbirth. Penguins have teeth on their tongue. Chickens can sneeze. McDonald's was accused for having either human or horse meat. Yogurt is useful for decomposing dead bodies, since it's already got concentrated and pre-cultured bacteria. Someone mentioned CP, but there's also videos out there of care home workers raping elderly women who don't have the mental capacity to consent. Also animals, most often dogs or horses it seems. That children are currently being decapitated in northern Mozambique right now. If you have an intestinal blockage you can burp up farts and have fecal vomit, which is basically just throwing up your poop. People who fell or jumped from the Twin Towers hit the ground at nearly 120 miles per hour. When I fart, it's not me farting, it's tiny organisms in my body. I'm farting on their behalf. Every single fig has had at least one wasp die inside it. These are known as fig wasps. Fig wasps are necessary for pollination, nutrients and wasp power. There were 4 HS suicides in my town a year for 10 to 12 years. The amount of mental health issues was so high that when Stanford came across the street to help set up a mental health counseling service, 500 appointments were made. In a school of 2,000 students, but people were happy because more people went to Stanford each year, 15 to 20 academically pressured, also a few professor children, and Harvard, 15, then committing suicide, so it was ignored until the CDC investigation. Our parents told us that wildcats have no butthole, that's what makes them wild. In most cases when a parasite gets into the brain, they don't remove it. They just kill it with some sort of acid or something with a similar effect, then just let the body calcify it. It's weird cause you'd think that the parasite could still do something. Blobfish. In their natural environment, they are actually not that ugly looking. The reason they look so horrific in all those pictures is because their natural environment is deep beneath the ocean's surface, and when they're caught they are exposed to catastrophic decompression as they're reeled to the surface. Probably some of the facts about particularly gruesome true crimes I've read over the years, including one particularly horrific case from Japan. Your face has tiny microorganisms. The face mites. They live in hair pores and eat the sebum. At night, they go to the surface and woohoo, laying eggs in the pore. These are not to be confused with the bacteria that cause acne. They actually help regulate the output of sebum in your face. Good to know these worms are helping out, but now I'm aware of the multiple microscopic parties. Just gonna toss out an r/I bleach for those of us who read too much of this thread. Seals raping juvenile penguins. Killer whales are actually dolphins and not in fact whales. A dingo really did eat her baby. The entire background story of the admin Reddit hired. Brigham Young University experimented on homosexuals. These experiments involved placing electrodes on their testicles, These were done far more recently than you'd believe. Reddit hired pedo apologist Amy Chandler, and now Reddit's censoring people from saying they hired pedo apologist Amy Chandler. That to find people who download CP, police have to upload CP with a virus or something to track them down. Frown. So, I'm tall. And I was especially tall when I was younger. I was probably about 12 at the time, and a local basketball coach was trying really hard to get me to join the team, and I was very close, but I backed out last minute and I don't remember why. But thank God I did. A few years later, that same coach was arrested for child molestation and possession of CP. I feel so bad for the other kids who just wanted to play basketball. How narcissism works, and that it's an actual thing you can't do anything about. Turtles have 2 penises. Can't watch Ninja Turtles no more. I learned on Reddit that a woodpecker will tap enough to break into a baby bird's skull and slurp up their brains. Gynecology came from experimenting on slaves. Because of the way the human brain interprets time, the midpoint of the human life, from your own perspective, is 20. It takes a few seconds for one to go unconscious after being decapitated, meaning everyone who has had their head cut off felt it and experienced the events immediately afterwards. The side effects of rabies. Once you have it and show symptoms, you're pretty much dead. The Chiquita Banana Company colluded with the CIA to overthrow the democratically elected government of Guatemala, leading to a civil war that lasted 46 years and directly contributed to the ongoing migrant crisis at the border. They called it Operation PB Success. The fact that I dismissed my friend who was raving about Bitcoin. In 2009, there was a French dude named Terrer who ate just about everything, including a fucking infant. That Reddit is making multiple subs closed and banning shitloads of Redditors because they want to support a piece of shit who backs her pedo father. Honestly, this only applies to me, so it's not like a world-shattering fact like most here, but I know way too many murderers. Now, this isn't weird if you work in a field where murder is a common occurrence in your day-to-day business. It is, however, a worrying fact when you're just a stay-at-home mom. It's also not just people I know of. I mean, these people have stayed in my home, shared my bed. I've shared many laughs with these people. Why do I know at minimum 9 convicted murderers? Am I the common denominator in these people becoming murderers? I wish I would stop looking people up on Google who I've dropped off with. That woodpeckers will seek out dove nests to crack open the baby dove skulls to lap up their brains. There was even a video. Confused face. Everything about the Byford dolphin decompression accident in 1983, Google it.